you doing?
Not bad. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to sort this out.
It's okay, don't worry. At least we got here. That's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you coping at the moment? How's isolation for you?
Well, isolation's been pretty good. I actually have enjoyed it.
Oh, that's good. As kind of creativity been an outlet for you, or is that something just like an added bonus?
Um, I think like an added bonus. I think it was nice to be able to do something um more so as just like something to do, not necessarily as like, oof, I needed this. Like I think this is actually a nice time for artists to also take a break and recenter. So
Absolutely. I've spoken to quite a few actors recently, and uh, they're not just doing self tapes; they're doing like creative things like Canadican, and creating
yeah.
short films and finding out what it's like to a certain degree being on the other side of the camera, because they're so focused, like yourself, they're so focused on uh, doing what they do, and then when you get an appreciation of how to put something together, it's like a bit of an eye opener. Because we had a writer on a few weeks ago, Mark Brombacher, and he was saying he's never shot anything himself. He's kind of a bit embarrassed sometimes about doing it, and it's pretty much just him and his wife's downstairs something, and he's writing this thing about a wicked muse. That's the title of his film, and he found it like really eye-opening. He's looking to make it into a web series. He's kind of really, like you say, find his center.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite interesting. And I loved I loved how should I put this? It was just so much fun, and like, your kind of energy was in the right place watching your film.
Yay!
You know
Well,
what I mean?
thank you.
So,
I'm glad you thought so.
yeah, and was that something that you kind of the premise for it was? Did it take long to figure out?
No, it didn't. As soon as I saw the contest go out, I was like, hey, what do I want to do? What can I do in my apartment that is going to be easy and accessible?
Yeah.
And I love to do comedy. That's my favorite place to be. So
Yeah. You can definitely tell that. Yeah, you can definitely tell that. And
yay.
I think everyone definitely needs a bit of comedy at the moment, 'cause
Yeah,
it's all
I think so
crazy.
too. I mean, I could have done a drama or something, but I was like, well, I want to do something that's funny because I feel like that's more, or it's what I and my friends need right now is things to laugh about and things to look forward to and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've kind of looked past what we're doing at the festival now, because obviously we had our awards little shindig and all of that. There's
Yeah.
actually your shot and a couple of other filmmakers. There's a sequence. There's a bit of a rude joke, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the use of your shot where you're like straining about how frustrated you are. And if you watch the 2 or 3 shots before yours in the opening sequence, you might see what I mean by that. So I'll leave that.
Okay. I definitely will.
But I was looking at some of your kind of. We'll talk about the film a little bit as well and how you made that. I was looking at the Bachelor parody stuff you've been doing. That seems like a lot of fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. It's weird to think that happened this year because this year seems like 10.
Doesn't it just? It absolutely seems like 10 years.
It really, really does. Every month is its own year. So I really did that series like 4 months ago or 4 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you mean. Yeah. So how did that get started?
There was a casting call for it, so I submitted. They were asking for actors who actually watch The Bachelor, so I do. So that was great. And they placed me as Victoria F, and I was very, very lucky that she didn't get sent home to the second last episode, so I got to make it through the entire season.
Amazing. That's pretty cool. And obviously you've got one exceptionally. Obviously you'll say this yourself. One exceptionally amazing credit that I didn't know anything about until like a few days ago. The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
So how did you get? I don't necessarily want to know. Obviously, experience must have been incredible, even just being on set. Was it just was it a casting call? Was it something an agent recommended? How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, it was a casting call. Same thing as same as anything. You just submit your headshot, your demo reel, and such. And I actually got booked right off my headshot. So
that's good. That
yeah.
tells you it's worth the money. Those headshots. Was that a video headshot?
Yes.
Was that photos?
Sorry.
Was the headshot? Was that just actual photos that had been taken that you like been cast from that?
Yeah, they had my headshot. They also had my demo reels, so maybe there was something in there too.
Yeah.
Could have been a mix between the two, but it was just my normal classic headshot. Normally, I tried to straighten my hair today, but in quarantine, it like the front's already going wavy. I forgot how to be straight. So normally my hair's super wavy, so very 60s like. So that might have been the trick.
Oh no, absolutely, because the hair in that is crazy, and yeah, well done on that. It's obviously one of the best films of. Yeah, last year seems so far away. You made such a good point. I'm gonna use that if you don't mind. That it's like every month seems like a different year. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, go for it.
So, with your film Canadican, it's how long did it kind of take to come up with the idea? What did you shoot on? How did you edit? Can you just tell us a little bit about the production of it?
So we shot on my handy dandy Samsung S10e. It's great.
It looks great. The image is fantastic on it, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, Samsung has great quality for both pictures and video. So this is actually how I do all of my self-tapes is off of this phone too.
Yeah.
And we had lights because I do have a self-tape kit. So we had 2 lights that we worked with. We filmed it in 2 days. We did the night stuff in the evening and then everything else we did in the day. And we did it in about an hour and a half because we had construction happening on our street. It's been happening for about a month. They're like tearing up the road and putting in new pipes for a new building. So we had to do it during their lunch break. So as soon as we like heard the sound start to peter off, we were like, okay, let's go. We have to get this done.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I remember, yeah, it's building work generally because we've just had our floors fitted and every day for the last week there's just sanding going on and sound and all sorts. So I have to wait for the wee small hours, as we say here, to do anything,
Yes.
editing wise, Photoshop work, whatever it needs to be for the festival. So it's been crazy. I wanted to kind of hit upon the self-tape process. So
yeah,
that kind of content, because there's going to be a lot of kind of actors, aspiring actors that when they see episodes like this, they'll kind of get a real insight of how the process works when they go to university or leave college. They'll be quite interested in this. So the self-tape process, obviously, it's to produce like a little bit of kind of a voice performance, piece to camera, kind of like how tapes were used. VHSs back in the day were used to kind of market yourself. So
something's being disconnected because I'm.
Can you still hear me? Hello?
I'm hearing you.
Hello,
I think
can you hear me?
something's disconnecting. One of ourselves is.
I know it's
I
probably me.
heard VHS tapes and mocking myself.
So if you can hear this, are the self-tape performances, the short videos, your stuff, is that suggested by an agent or do you create different characters? How does it kind of all work? The type of content, do you send things out when you do self-tapes, or is it like, oh, we need this kind of performance to kind of try and sell yourself for a role? Or
yeah, I mean, I think in the end it's you're auditioning for a character, so present that character. They don't usually request previous scenes or work. You would already have that in your demo reel.
Yeah.
You might have a comedic reel, a dramatic reel, and then one's a little mix of them, or you might just have a mix one. But as far as the actual self-tape, I think it's who's the character that you're auditioning for and who are they as a person, and you're just going to go in it as that person, just like you would in the room.
Okay, so like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I saw a teaser on your Instagram account about something called Mythic Quest. What's that all about? There's
A quest?
on your Instagram account, a show called Mythic Quest. You know, the Apple TV show.
Oh, yes. So that's a show on Apple TV Plus, and I wasn't on the show. I was at their premiere basically, and I was helping a bit with the marketing for it. So,
That's
but
I tell you
that
what,
was really fun.
that's a really fun thing. I would, yeah, because you don't even need to lie about that. It's such an interesting, funny, like you got the big special effect thing, and then it kind of goes to green screen with the guys there and everything. So, yeah, I absolutely love that.
Yes, and that's what the show is about. It's about them filming the show, and it's a comedy. So that's actually taken right from the show, where that's exactly what happens. So.
Oh wow, that's a great little special thing to keep for yourself. What kind
Yes,
of
definitely.
so are you kind of shooting more short films, or was this your first short film you made?
So this is the first short film I made in quarantine, but I have been a part of productions before. I usually actually do plays, but I was the writer on The Secret Ways of Women, so that was my short. But actually, I normally do theatrical and theater.
Okay, that's cool. And what kind of theatre do you like doing? Is it mainly comedy or kind of more dramatic Shakespeare kind of things?
So yeah, I guess it kind of changes because as an actor, when I'm doing film and TV, I prefer comedy. But then for theater, when I'm writing and producing, I'm okay with any of the genres. So I actually this past June in 2019, I was in a comedic play that I wrote and produced, all about immigration in the U.S. and it was a comedy. It was immigration told through the eyes of an Instagram influencer.
Oh, that's interesting. As though you arrived in the country, is that where it started?
No. So I played the Instagram influencer who came from a rich family, like didn't need to work for anything. So she had to interview a DACA student for her school project. So she hears all the story about DACA people and, kind of it's the DACA persons versus what she's been growing up to believe. And they kind of talk about it. And then as she gets in the Uber to go back to her rich mansion, she has her Uber driver is an immigrant. So she sees kind of the legal versus illegal immigration, and she goes through both sides and kind of comes out of it thinking she's woke, but really not realizing either sides.
You're right, right. How does she have that realization?
Um, she thinks she has that realization. She thinks it made a mockery of social media and how we feel like that's change if we post something. So
Oh
she
yes.
documents through her Instagram stories like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for this DACA girl. Like we're so privileged. And then she goes into this Uber and she's like, wow, like driving Uber super hard every day. Like make sure you tip them because we have money too. Like very insensitive comments like that where she's making change because she's promoting it on social media. So it goes through both. Hey, there's two sides of the story with immigration, and also your social media video or post isn't putting a stamp on it saying, hey, okay, we're okay, we did our job.
That's a really strong idea. I really like that quite a lot. And
Thank
that
you.
could be a really interesting idea for a pilot or a short film or something.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely could be put into a short film 100%, or even maybe a feature, very like maybe an hour and a half or something, but it definitely could be expanded for that.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I want to see that now.
I can send you the Gmail.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's something else I wanted to mention. Do you do a lot of stand up? Because I noticed this thing called TMI Hollywood. What's that all about? Because obviously
So that's not.
that's something we wouldn't see over here. You see.
Yeah, so it's not stand up. At least on my end, there's stand up in the show, usually the opener, but it's sketch comedy. So it's like Saturday Night Live, but for Los Angeles.
Oh, that's awesome! And how long have you been doing
Yeah,
that for?
that I've been doing for almost a year and a half. Of course, we've had to shut down production because of COVID. They're actually doing a lot of online Zooms to interact with viewers still. But yeah, it's been great. I've gone to work with Mayan Lopez from the George Lopez show. Her and I have actually become friends. Laura Nimi from This Is Us. So it's been really great. Actually, Lydia Porto was a guest on an episode I worked on, and she's in Get Shorty, which films in Vancouver, I believe. So
Wow, that's very cool.
yeah.
It's how have you found based on something like that? Have you found networking whilst being in quarantine? Has it been more fruitful? Has it been a lot more challenging?
Um, yeah, I would say it's a little bit more challenging. I think there's a bit of quarantine. Quarantine's kind of split Hollywood in two different areas. One where everyone wants to keep working, 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 and one where it's like, hey, we're actually been being given time to take off and rest, and like let's use it because that will never happen again until the next pandemic or strike. So
Oh my god, that's so true. Like I found it very difficult working at home because I do a lot of video production, that kind of thing. So everything like a lot of freelance work's pushed back till next year. That's just standard, and you've got to accept that. I found that very difficult.
yep.
But then I ended up starting this festival with a friend of mine, and then it's twice as much work. Like the amount of admin we've had to do for 105 different films is crazy. We've sent at least 4 bespoke emails per person. Like yourself, we've back and forth. It's like
Yeah.
I really enjoy the process because we started it because we wanted to give people a creative platform, even if even if it's a small one to initially, and it's grown to something that's been really fruitful. We've had 3 fantastic guest judges, and I've got to plug this now. I'm starting something based on the festival in October, so you can imagine what it's for in October. So we're going to open something up on August. It's going to be called Hellbound, a horror festival, and I've already got one amazing judge for it. Seriously amazing judge. He's the
Yay, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, and thank you for continuing to create stuff for all of us to submit to and participate in.
yeah, no problem. That's one of the reasons we did it, because we thought we'd get 10 films. We ended up getting over 100, so we were exceptionally happy with that. And we've had so many
Yay.
films from Canada and the US. It's been great fun. And we'd get them like 2 in the morning, something like that, popping up on my phone. Oh, right, I'm too curious. I've got to watch these now. And it's been a really interesting process, curating the content, making sure the social media is up to date. And I think I've done about the role of 4 or 5 people, and there's only 3 of us at the end. At the start, there's 2, and I was doing most of the work, but now there's only 3. And then I look at some of the other online festivals, and there's like 200 people that work for it. So obviously, most of that's marketing. I'll tell you who the guest judge is on the horror festival, by the way. It's Alex Proyas, who directed The Crow and Dark City.
Cool.
So he's
That's
like,
super
and he
awesome.
runs his own film studio now in Australia. So I'm like, and
Hmm.
he emailed me a couple of days ago, and he was like, if I'm too late, is there anything else I can be part of? I said, yeah, there is. I've got a brand new idea. So, and the fact with his first movie was The Crow, directing Brandon Lee, and
Mhm.
I kind of when I speak to him, we've had a bit of chatter back and forth. I don't want to kind of just stick on talking about Bruce Lee's son. I want to kind of talk about his career, starting because he runs these virtual studios now they have for TV shows
Yeah.
where there's no
Yeah.
green screen, so it's actually the film in the back, or they can see what they're doing.
Hmm.
He runs one of those now. He's plowed a lot of money into doing that. So I kind of want to talk to him about that. And
Yeah, that's super cool.
And I'm trying to get the actor that plays Pinhead in Hellraiser involved as well, Doug Bradley. So
Oh.
yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
this is kind of my passion. I love film generally across the board, but I'm kind of more since quarantine. I've started to love horror more and more. I don't know
Since
what. I don't know,
quarantine, that inspired it.
yeah, maybe it's not like I want to watch Contagion, or anything like that about a
Oh,
virus.
I watched Contagion. I love that film, and now all of a sudden everyone else is watching it. So I was like, I'm gonna rewatch it to see what we're going through live.
Oh my god, yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it? So, are you going through auditioning processes at the moment in quarantine? Is that kind of part of the self-tape
You know,
thing?
I've had a couple auditions. They're starting to pick back up a little bit more. It's still nothing compared to what it normally is, but I'd say in the last month and a half or so, they're slowly starting to pick up. A lot of open calls because casting directors now have the time to meet new talent. So there's a lot of open call submissions. So yeah, it's starting to pick back up.
And have you gotten comfortable in quarantine? Because you were saying you've had a relatively good experience of it.
Yeah, I love quarantine. I love it. I have no issues other than the lack of money. But
Oh yeah,
other than
exactly.
that, I love it.
Yeah, it's we've had so much done to the house. It's like oh yeah, I'll do all these jobs now because I don't know if you noticed there's a trend of DIY and things for the garden, all of that. All of that was
Yeah.
disappearing online, so you can get a webcam for 6 weeks or something like that. It was it's
Oh,
been crazy. But yeah, we really appreciate your submitting your film to our festival, Gina. What we're going to do, by the way, is we've had with our films, we want to do it the right way. So we're going to drip feed them onto YouTube. We're going to plug all the other actors, and anything you've got going on. Send us an email. We're really happy to send a little kind of a social media burst kind of thing when we market these episodes. I'm not sure if you noticed that on our Instagram, but we kind of want to help actors as much as possible. And if there's anything you want us to kind of push out, anything like that, we're more than happy to. Even if it's at a premiere of a TV show and it looks really funny, just send us that. We'll push it out. Because it really sold me. I thought you were on the show.
no, that's good. It means it did the trick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Gina. This has been great, and enjoy the rest of your quarantine. Oh,
Yay! Thank you. You too.
I wasn't going to ask because it was kind of everyone must ask you this. What was it like on Tarantino's set?
Oh yeah, no problem to ask. He was awesome. He was fantastic. I can't speak more highly of him as well as Margot Robbie. Both of them were such nice. Like that's all I can say there. They treated us like people and not lower than. It was equal. And they were both so kind, and I hope to work with both of them again for sure.
Yeah, because the reason I had to ask you that is because not many people, because he's, what is it, his ninth film? Was it his ninth or his eighth?
Yes, yeah,
Well, he said he's retiring after 10. I'm like, please don't
yeah,
do that to us because we want to see
yeah.
more. I want to see a Kill Bill sequel now. I know he's done with that, but I would see like another one now in The Way the World Is, like
True,
Uma
true,
Thurman's
true.
type character just kicking ass. I'd go and see that like 5 or 6 times like I did, And yeah, that must be such a good memory to have as well because those sets looked so real in terms of no matter how long you look down the road, everything was 70s. It looked perfect.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, it was crazy because so I did some filming at different locations as well as at Playboy Mansion. So that was cool to even get to be inside the Playboy Mansion and see what that. And even where I live, so unrelated to the film at all, I live in Hollywood, and I got to see them completely change the entire boulevard to look like it
also,
just where I live.
you saw the whole process.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's not related to me acting. That's just where they did some of their shots that I was not involved with. So I'd be walking down the street, and it would be 70s. They changed all of the storefronts. had the cars parked and lined up. It was pretty cool.
Now, did they remove all of the storefronts, or did some of the stores go, "We're going to keep this"? Was it other brands?
It was of what it would have been like in the 70s. So some stores, uh, their storefront was gone, and they would just put over a different whatever was there before.
Yeah.
Some of them, a lot of those places like Musso and Frank's and Edwin's Bookshop, those are still there and were there. So they just kind of brought back what was originally there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was
really,
really
cool
cool
to be part of that, which is a really special thing. A friend of mine worked on a big show back in 2000 called Band of Brothers, and he got to meet, she got to meet Tom Hanks and Colin Hanks, and she worked on scenes that Tom Hardy was on because it was the first thing he really did. So
yeah.
it's like a special memory when you've worked on something like that. I worked on a feature film in 2007 with Pierce Brosnan and Gerald Butler. I worked on the behind the scenes. I got to meet some absolutely great people. And when you have those little moments, it really does reinforce your enthusiasm for it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. It shows you like, yeah, I wasn't one of the Academy Award nominees from it, but I got to work on it with them. And so it's like it's a building step. You are always just one step closer.
Absolutely,
so that's a memory I'll have forever for sure.
Yeah, especially working at Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, that's what it was. So there's two different ways of that was cool. Also, sorry, my son's coming through the window now.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay, cool.
It kind of reinforces my love of horror. You see, it's like some sort of dramatic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's true. So not only is it Playboy Mansion, like I'm not into the whole Playboy scene, so
yeah.
It's just you know of it. There's a lot. The grounds is beautiful, but the mansion itself like was so much smaller than I imagined because like it feels smaller. It's big, of course, but it's the old style architecture where the ceilings are really low and all of that. And then you go out to the backyard, which is amazing and so beautiful. And that's also where they shot a lot of scenes for High School Musical too. And I grew up with High School Musical and was obsessed. And so I was like, this is where Zac Efron and Ashley Tisdale were in the pool.
See, if I was you and I was on set, I'd be like, oh my God, this is where they shot Beverly Hills Cop 2. Oh, that's so
it's Playboy Mansion, but it has all these other memories attached to it just because of other previous things that have been.
Yeah, exactly. Like I totally understand your reference in terms of it doesn't matter what Hugh Hefner had that for. It's like it's those touchstone moments in your life. So like Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Eddie Murphy, kind of our love for Eddie because he was such a good character, such a good film. It's like that's what matters to me. And it was fun that it was at Playboy Mansion, and Chris Rock is the valet that swaps the keys in the film as well. So it's like one of his first roles. So yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's pretty awesome, Gina. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun.
Where are you from?
I'm from, my accent's all over the place. So I'll tell you where, basically I'm half a mixture of Welsh, Scottish and English. So I'm proper, real British. I'm in the northwest. So I'm in Chester, which is near Liverpool and Manchester.
Do you still live there? Like, where do you live now?
So I live in Chester, but I live in an army barracks. But I'm not in the army, but they've sold a lot of houses, and we bought one because it's like a street from Haddonfield in Halloween. I absolutely love this street. There's trees either side. There can't be any building behind or in front. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
What time is it for you then? I figured that you were in North America.
No, not with this accent. No, 8:31. So it's 8:31 at night.
Good. So it's not too late then.
Oh no. I actually did one of these episodes with what's her name, Nadia Lappert. She did an Australian film called Urban Temple. It was kind of a music parody thing. I'll actually tell you what. I'll send you a link to it, Gina. You'll love it. It's an Aussie film, and it's a kind of a. This isn't a bad thing to say, but it's kind of a hippie vibe to it, and it's a really positive energy. And they made this music video, and it was like 6 housemates in this Australian house, and they all rent it. And I got my time zone wrong in Australia. I honestly did. So it was actually an hour later. So I started the podcast at 1 o'clock in the morning. I thought, oh my God, my energy was just so sapped. I had to go and have loads of coffee, you know.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll send you that film, Gina. It's called I think it's called Urban Temple. It's on our. We've got all the films on YouTube behind like a. I was going to say paywall then because it's so generic to say.
Okay.
But it's behind an unlisted folder. We want to kind of launch them the right way and make sure the description's right and put like extra credits in and everything like that. So that'll
Sure.
that'll be released at some point soon. So I'll send you that.
Yay.
Just yeah, you'll enjoy that one. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And
please do.
It's typical Australian, which is a great thing. I don't know if you know the history of Australia and the UK.
A bit.
Their sense of humor is absolutely fantastic, and I think you especially based on your film and speaking to you now, you'll really dig this short film they sent us.
I feel like it because I feel being Canadian, we're kind of we're all part of the Commonwealth still, and we have the same dry, sarcastic sense of humor. All of us countries.
Yeah, a bit of the banter, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I get that
Yeah.
from speaking to so many Canadian filmmakers. It's been so nice to do that because obviously some people are very lucky, like ourselves, where we've got things are pretty positive and we can see the positive side of things and we can enjoy certain aspects of it. But then we've spoken to people whose parents are working. There was Nalia Williams, her sister works in a hotel in Canada somewhere that everyone in there has COVID, but it's because it's basically it's the homeless population in this particular area. So she was telling me about that. We hear so many different stories, and it's nice to have a positive outlook. I think she did as well. Her sister, who's on the podcast with her, because she's only like 11. Her sister was saying how positive she feels when she comes home. She basically undresses a different part of the house, has a shower, then can go upstairs because the grandmother's there who's just recovered from cancer. It's this whole crazy thing, you know. So finding positivity in situations like this is extremely important.
That is a huge thing right now is with cancer patients too, because even a lot of people asked if I was going to leave the U.S. and go back to Canada, and my mom also
healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have the healthcare there, but my mom is also struggling with cancer right now. So I was like, that is even more risky because if I do have it here or catch it on the plane or any step of the way there, then I'm quarantined for 2 weeks in a basement somewhere, and then I'm allowed to see her. But it's just another person in the house that's a risk. So I was like, well, I'm staying at home either way, so I might as well just stay home here where I'm already quarantined, and I'm also not putting myself at risk by getting on a plane. That's the last thing I want to do right now is be on a plane.
I know. Oh my word, that recycled air.
Yep.
Oh my God, yeah. I've gotten chills now thinking about that. That'd be grim. But then there's yeah. So yeah, Gina, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your film. I can see where you got the influence now in terms of not being able to get out of the country, about the healthcare and everything. I think it was a really smart choice, and not many people went that way with it in terms of their film, which is really clever. And I think you did a great job with it. And if you want to share anything via email or anything you're doing, when we announce your podcast or before we do, we'll have a week leading up to it. So if there's anything we can plug, we're more than happy to do that. And
well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you enjoyed the film and the comedic aspect of it. That always makes me smile.
Absolutely. Like I think it was something really serious before your film that I watched. So I was like, oh, this is a nice antidote for that, you know? So I do appreciate it.
And on a happy note.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'll go back to my horror films later tonight. I'll watch Hellraiser 2 or something. Then it'll balance me out, you know?
Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. That's actually why I asked where you live, because I wasn't sure if you were in Canada or the US or in the UK, but I worked with a Canadian filmmaker on 2 different horror comedy films. So there's a little bit of cheese in them, but you might want to check them out. And I was going to tell you where to find them, but I only know where they are in the US and Canada, so I don't know where you find them in the UK.
Okay, what
like
are they
what
called?
streaming service. But it's called Patchwork is one, and then Tragedy Girls is the second.
Okay, and Tragedy Girls. Oh no, I'll seek those out because I spoke to a filmmaker called Ian Rayburn who got second place in the festival with his film Days, and he told me about a film called Chopping Mall, and it was about robots that look after a shopping mall as security. And it's an 80s film, and it's terrible, but it's hilarious. So we've kind of bonded over that. So what's Patchwork all about?
Patchwork it's basically this guy, I guess, I don't know what you would particularly call him, starts to patch girls' faces together. That's basically all I can say without giving away the full storyline.
Okay, so is it like little pieces of different faces kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. I'm so glad I'm so glad I've not heard of that. I'm so glad you told me. And Tragedy Girls, what's the kind of basic premise of that one?
Tragedy Girls is this film has taken off. It got rated one of the top 20 horror comedies of this previous decade. It's very similar to the Heathers, but for the 2019, well, not 2020 era, but this time frame. They start to murder people to be famous on social media. So
wow, that's not too far from that. Play in some twisted way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow, and you worked on both of those, is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
so
awesome.
on Patchwork, I did all the pre-production. So their storyboard was all visual, since so much of it was makeup and special effects. So I was the actor for the storyboard, basically. And
That's
then
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
So it's super cool. And it's the same director, so he pulled me over for Tragedy Girls, where I got to do pre-production. I was the actor where they tested all the different cameras and filters and masks on. And then I did voiceover on the film.
There's not stills of that you could use for your showreel or anything, is there?
Actually, yeah, there probably is.
That's so cool. I love those shots when you see costumes being tested, that kind of thing. Behind the scenes, it's like a real insight to it, and they test the makeup. That's very cool, Gina. They'll be on, if they're on Amazon, or they won't be on Disney Plus, but if they're on Amazon or Netflix in the UK, I'll be watching those, and I'll tag you in that. That's awesome. Are you on Instagram? You are, of course you are. I found you before, so I'll tag you in a post about that.
Yes, please do.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. A friend of mine was in. She couldn't tell me the project she was in a few years ago. This will be the last little story I'll tell you. But she was in a huge project, and she said, she knew we kind of know each other for the last good few years, and we met on a campsite in Amsterdam many years ago in a random traveling story, and then we've kind of been friends since. And she said, "Oh, look out for a big project I'm going to be in." So, what is it? And she didn't tell me what it is. So, how am I supposed to know? She said, I know you'll see it. So I was watching Justice League, and she's in Justice League, and she had 4 lines of dialogue. I was like, what the fuck? And then I think it was a week after it came out in the UK, she says, "Did you see me in the cabin?" I said, "Yeah, I did," because she knew I'd see it, you see, in some sort of crazy way. And I think she said she's going to be in more scenes of the director's cut now. And I was like, that's fucking amazing, because she got to work in a crazy way because of the tragedy in Zack Snyder's family. She got to work with Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder on one film, which is mental,
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
that's awesome.
So that's great. You've just set me up for some viewing tonight.
Yay! Movie night. Movie night on a Wednesday.
Absolutely. What I've just realised is this wasn't on purpose. This reminds me of the shirt that Brad Pitt wears in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. A little bit of yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I see it.
I tried to find that particular shirt online, but it's super expensive to buy. You know, the actual one based on the film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, it's a proper movie tie-in.
A lot of the props. Well, actually, not even for that film. All props right now and stuff are pretty pricey.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think the internet cut it out at the same time, and you and I were just talking over each other.
Yeah, I'm sure I can smooth that out. I'll just put a still of your film or something. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Gina. You've been great, and more power to you for your positivity as well.
Yay! Thank you so much. You as well, Alex. Thank you for appreciating the film and for putting all this together for all of us artists and allowing us to submit. So thank you for all the work that you put into it too.
And if you want to create something for horror, I'm going to open it up in August, so it'll be announced through the social media, and then I'm going to blast it out. And if I get Pinhead on board, then I'm sorted. So yeah, thank you very much, Gina. You've been a terrific guest, and we really enjoyed your film.
Yay! Thank you so much, and I'll see you for the horror submission.
Absolutely. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.